welcome to Let's Talk Health Live. I'm Dr. Amanda. I host this live health Q&A to answer any questions. I am a naturopathic doctor, so any kind of questions that you have regarding holistic health, wellness, supplements, diet, and lifestyle, ask me in the chat and I will answer your questions. If you are new here, I host these lives frequently just to answer any health concerns or give you a bit more of an insight into certain health conditions. So today I wanted to talk about allergies. Allergy season is coming up. So a lot of times I get questions this time of year about things, what can we do for allergies and things that we can do for like diet and supplements. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But feel free to ask any other questions that you have, even if you don't have allergies or you have other concerns. So yeah, okay. So welcome everybody. Thank you for the likes. Appreciate that. Okay, so for allergies, so seasonal allergies usually happen around the fall and the spring when there's more pollen and then there's just the change in climate and temperature. So a lot of times people get symptoms like a runny nose, sneezing, watery eyes. Those are typically the main symptoms that people will get with allergies. And usually what's happening is it can just be a reaction to something in the environment. Your body then releases something called histamine, and then this histamine causes some of these symptoms like the runny nose, the watery eyes, itchy eyes, and sneezing. So in terms of allergies, like what can we do? There's many things that you can do to help with reducing the release of this histamine or helping your body and your immune system. And despite not being able to get yourself out of the environment, right? If that's where you live, certain areas you can get more symptoms than others, but so there's some things you can do. So let's talk about some of these things that we can do to help with your allergies. So one good thing, like that's pretty well known, that's widely available, is vitamin C. Vitamin C is going to be good for your immune system. So whenever we're working on supporting the immune system, we're going to work on helping with reducing the allergy symptoms. So vitamin C, you can buy this in a capsule form, in a powder form. Generally, a dose that you'd want to take if you are having allergies or if you're sick, you want to have at least about 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. You can go even higher. You can go up to 2,000 if needed. Just one thing to keep in mind with vitamin C, at a higher dose, it can sometimes cause a looser stool. So you don't want to be going too high where you're having diarrhea. So that if you went too high of a dose, then and you had diarrhea, just back off on the dose. But vitamin C is really good, widely available, and really helpful for allergies and immune support. Okay, so I'm just seeing some new people jump on. So hi, everybody, welcome. I'm Dr. Amanda. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I host this live health Q&A to answer any health questions that you have. So we've had some really great conversations on this live stream. So feel free to drop your health questions in the comments and I will answer them as best as I can. And right now I'm just talking a little bit about allergies. So if you had any questions about that, just let me know. And thank you for the likes. I do appreciate it. Thank you for joining our live chat. Okay, there's a comment. I think I'm allergic to the Axe body spray. Yeah, that's a good point. Some people are very sensitive to fragrances. So something like Axe body sprays are quite strong. So fragrances, perfumes, scents. Some people can be very sensitive or they get things like headaches, feeling unwell, the sneezing. Not so much the typical allergy symptoms that you get from the environment, but you could still get some of those symptoms. But I notice a lot of people that have like sensitivities to perfumes and fragrances, they have more of like headache type symptoms. But yeah, in those cases, you just want to avoid using that. There are even some medical facilities that say like you're not allowed to use perfume and scents in it because it can be quite strong. And then just kind of like off topic, but a lot of those perfumes and fragrances can disrupt what it's called our endocrine system. So that's our system that regulates our hormones. So a lot of those things like Axe body spray and anything with perfume and fragrance can sometimes cause a disruption in those hormones. So that's a great point to bring up. Okay. Well, hi everybody, welcome. Just seeing some new people jump on. So I'm Dr. Amanda. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I host this live health Q&A to answer any questions you have. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat box and I'll answer them. Right now, we're just talking a little bit about allergies and some things we can do to help with allergies. So vitamin C is really good. Another widely available ingredient or supplement that you can take is zinc. Zinc is really good for the immune system. Zinc is one of those things that you want to not take at a really high dose because it can cause nausea. So if you've ever taken zinc and then had like an upset stomach, it's very common to have to cause an upset stomach. So usually about 25 milligrams of zinc is like a dose that people can tolerate. If you're going up to like 50, just making sure you are taking that with food, and then don't take it long term, because if you're taking zinc and you're not taking copper, it could actually deplete your body's copper. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. Or if you're going to take it at a high dose, then making sure you're taking some copper as well. So zinc, vitamin C, those are both really good for helping the immune system and helping with if you have allergies. Okay, so I'm just seeing some new people hop on. So hi, welcome. Thank you for the likes. I do appreciate it. It does help get the video noticed across YouTube. I'm Dr. Amanda. If you're new here, I'm a naturopathic doctor. I host this live health Q&A to answer your health questions and to help you out if you had any certain questions. So anything goes in the chat in regards to health questions. I'm right now talking about allergies, but you can ask me different types of health topics. Okay, so there's another question. What about garlic? Yeah, garlic is great. Garlic is also really good for the immune system. I wouldn't say it's one that's specifically used for allergies. Garlic is better for if you have issues with your gut microbiome. So if, let's say you have a yeast or a bacteria overgrowth, garlic is really powerful for helping with fighting off those. But generally, like if you wanted to have garlic in your diet, is good for supporting your immune system. So great question. Another thing that's really good for allergies is something called quercetin. So quercetin is another supplement that you can get. Typically it's in a blend usually of different supplements for allergies, but this one can be really helpful for reducing that histamine load that I was talking about before. That release of histamine is what can cause those allergy symptoms like the runny nose and the watery eyes and the sneezing. So quercetin is really good. There is a supplement that I like. It's called D-Hist. It's by Orthomolecular Products, I believe. And it has a combination of, I think it's quercetin, nettle, NAC, which is N-acetylcysteine. NAC is really good. It's a precursor to glutathione, which is your body's major antioxidant. So NAC can help with reducing that oxidative stress and is really good if you're somebody that gets allergies, that you get like congestion in your chest, or even if you just get sick and you have a lot of mucus production, respiratory issues, NAC is really good. So those are some other ones that are really good for allergies, NAC and quercetin. Okay, so there's another question. What are people commonly allergic to? I would say people usually are allergic to things like pollen and then like different types of trees, depending on that, the area that they live in. But pollen's a really common one. Pets as well. So a lot of people can be allergic to like pets and like animal dander. Those are common allergies that I typically see people have issues with. So just those general like seasonal allergies in the spring or fall. Some of these supplements that help with reducing that histamine release from the mast cells in your bodies. So things like the quercetin, nettle, NAC, vitamin C, zinc are all really beneficial to take to help. Especially if you know you're prone to getting allergies, it's good to take these like ahead of time and get your body kind of equipped and ready for allergy season. Okay, so just seeing some new people hop on. So hi and welcome. I'm Dr. Amanda. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I host this live health Q&A to answer any health questions. So typically people just ask questions in the chat and then I'm able to answer them, whether that be about supplements, a certain health condition that you are experiencing. If you had questions about labs and anything else, just feel free to drop them in the chat. What else about allergies? Another really good herb to help out with allergies is nettle. You'll see it in known as like stinging nettle is really good. So nettle can help with any sort of allergic congestion symptoms. You can take nettle in many different forms. So if you're somebody that likes tea, nettle's really good for the tea. Nettle's really good in a tea form. It's also really helpful for your kidney health. So really good for helping out with flushing out any sort of issues that you might experience, whether that be urinary issues or prostate issues. Nettle's really good that way as well. If you don't want it in a tea, you can take it in capsules or in a liquid tincture form. So yeah, those I would say are my top things to have if you have allergies. So just to kind of recap. So if you have allergies, some things you want to do: vitamin C, at least 1,000 milligrams a day, zinc 25 milligrams, looking into NAC, which is N-acetylcysteine, quercetin, and nettle. Those are the pretty common ones that can be really helpful for allergies. If there's any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat if you had questions about any other health concerns. Okay. So there's a question: how does one acquire nettle? Yeah, so depending on which form you want it in, like if you really like tea, I'd recommend looking into a loose leaf tea. Is always gonna give you a better, in terms of like price, you're gonna get a higher amount of tea for a lower price versus buying them in the individual tea bags. The individual tea bags though are gonna be more convenient. So if you're somebody that's really likes having tea, I would recommend getting nettle in the tea form. You can also get it in capsules. So if just looking online at general supplement stores, or looking online getting nettle in a capsule, or having it in a tincture, so that's a liquid extract. Now there are some supplements that are like have a combination of different of these allergy support. So one of them I recommended was the that I talked about was the dehist, but there's other ones as well, and you'll usually find nettle in there. Do allergies go away as you age? So if we're talking about like the seasonal allergies versus, there's different types of allergies, right? So there's the seasonal allergies, and that's usually due to the immune release, like the histamine being released from the mast cells. If you have like an allergy, like for example, like a peanut allergy where you get anaphylaxis, that's a different type of reactivity. Those, generally will stay with you for your life. If you have seasonal allergies, they can change as you age, or as your immune system changes. Even sometimes as hormones change, this can even change things. So I wouldn't say they go away as you age, but sometimes people can develop allergies later in life, and sometimes people can develop them younger and then they go away after. So that's for the seasonal allergies, or depending if you've moved somewhere, a different environment, you can be exposed to different things, and then that can show up. There's also a lot of overlap with mold and seasonal allergies, like just the way that the symptoms are. So that's one thing that you want to rule out, is if you're constantly having symptoms of like brain fog and nasal congestion and just feeling unwell, and you've potentially been exposed to mold, you want to look into having some mold testing done, because that could be mold and instead of being allergies. And if you don't treat the mold, then you're not going to get better. But yeah, those are good questions. Okay, so if anybody has any other questions, just feel free to ask in the chat. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have regarding health concerns or different health topics. Right, what else can we talk about? Oh, another good thing that kind of like indirectly helps out with allergies is probiotics, and that's because it helps your immune system. So a lot of your immune system actually resides within your gut. So your gut has a lot of your immune system there. So if you have an issue with your gut microbiome, then you can be more susceptible to getting sick. So going back to like allergies and any other type of sickness, if you get sick easily, you'd want to look into probiotics, because probiotics are going to help support the beneficial bacteria in your microbiome, improve your immunity. There's different ones. Saccharomyces boulardii, or S. boulardii for short, is really good for helping the immunity in the gut. Or if you're just looking at a general probiotic support, a blend of lactobacillus and bifidobacterium strains are going to help just support your overall gut microbiome. So that's a good thing to look into. And then these come in different strains, different in intensity, or like the different amount of units. Generally, 10 billion colony forming units is a good dose to have if you're really sick, or if you, let's say, you're post having like antibiotics, you might want to go up to maybe 50 or 100 billion. Okay, there's a question about mold. So what are the symptoms of the mold allergy? How common is it? Do you get a lot of patients for it? I would say in this climate, like or in this area, working in California versus working when I worked in Toronto, I'd see a lot more people here. And I'm not sure if that's because they're, from the climate, or even people living near the coast and then having like water damage, or if it's just more known here. But I'd say that depending on where you live, it could also impact it as well, which is interesting because it's drier here than it is on the East Coast. But what I do notice is people either lived somewhere where there was a leak and then it just was never properly fixed. And the symptoms of mold toxicity can really range depending on the person. But I will say a big one is just like your symptoms not getting better no matter what you've done. And then you kind of have to rule out other things. And a big thing is feeling like brain fog, fatigue. Could also have respiratory, like a cough or runny nose. Sometimes even having like aches and pains. I would say those are the main symptoms of the mold. If you know that you had like water damage, that there's a high chance that potentially there was mold growing in your house. So just looking into that, or even like in your workplace, making sure when you're using the shower or the bath, like having a fan can help as well, just to reduce that humidity from the shower. So yeah, good question. I'd say mold is one of those things that's kind of tricky to know if you have it. I usually, when I see people, like I said, it's kind of how they say like they've had these symptoms for a while, they've tried so many things, haven't got better, and we've looked into other things, ruled out, vitamin nutrient deficiencies, and ruled out other issues, and then usually asking just questions and trying to figure out about if there's any mold exposure. So yeah, good questions. Okay, so if anybody's just joining, I'm Dr. Amanda, naturopathic doctor, here to answer any health questions that you have. So feel free to drop them in the chat. Thank you for the likes. I do appreciate that. If you haven't joined the health community, be sure to subscribe on the YouTube channel. That way you get notified when I go live and can answer your questions. Okay, there's a question. Hi, do you know how to deal with lower back pain? Yeah, that's a great question. So back pain, or just pain in general, can be challenging. I'd say looking into what is, if there's something that's causing the pain, like structurally. So that would be getting it assessed by either physical therapy, chiropractor, somebody to do some imaging too, to see, so whether that be an x-ray, CT, MRI, just to see structurally, is something going on there? Like, is there a herniated disc? Is there a pinched nerve? Is it an issue with like the balance of your spine. Your back pain can even start from down in your feet. So if there's, you know, imbalances in your feet or leg length discrepancies, all these things, like just having a proper assessment would be really good. But in terms of helping out with back pain, so you want to look into some things that are helpful for reducing inflammation overall in the body. So that would be things like curcumin. So curcumin is turmeric. Turmeric is a really good anti-inflammatory. Bromelain is also helpful. It's an enzyme, so it helps with breaking down issues and helpful for helping with reducing inflammation as well. And then in terms of herbs, some herbs that can be helpful. There's one called like Devil's Claw is helpful. Willow is helpful. So these are some herbs that can be helpful for reducing inflammation and helping out with pain. These are all things that you could do internally. Topically, ice and heat therapy, like alternating ice and heat therapy, can be helpful as well. All right. Okay, that's just some follow-up questions. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you love the channel. Degenerative spondylitis. Use patches and cream, but pains keep coming and radiating to lower extremities. Yeah, so also looking into stretching and different types of, you know, exercises to help out with stretching the lower back, very gentle yoga. If you haven't gone to physical therapy, it would be helpful to look into that as well, because you want to make sure you're strengthening your core. If you have a weak core, that can worsen, like cause your back pain to be worse. So looking into that. But yeah, there are a lot of supplements out there that have things like bromelain, curcumin, quercetin. All of these are really good anti-inflammatory support. Yeah, great questions. Thank you. Okay, so if anybody's just joining, welcome. I'm Dr. Amanda. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I answer any health questions in regards to supplements, certain conditions, labs, any questions that you had. Thank you for the likes. Do appreciate that. It helps get this video noticed across our channel or across the YouTube channel. And then if you are new here, be sure to subscribe and join the health community so you can know when I go live. Okay, there's a question about arnica. Yeah, arnica for pain can be helpful. So you can do arnica topically. You can do also take arnica, the arnica pellets internally. It's nice for pain and aches and bruising. You're welcome. I'm glad that was helpful. Okay, so we were talking a lot about allergies, mold toxicity. I was talking a little bit about different types of supplements. So if you just hopped on, some of the supplements that I mentioned for helpful for seasonal allergies are things like vitamin C, zinc, quercetin. What else did I talk about? NAC, which is N-acetylcysteine. Really like that one for supporting respiratory health. Those are kind of like the top ones that I usually recommend. And then nettle. Nettle is also really good for helping out with any allergy or allergic concerns. What else? Oh, and probiotics. I was talking about probiotics before, so let me know if you have questions about probiotics, but generally a blend of different probiotics can be helpful for the immune system and the gastrointestinal health as well. Okay, so there's another question. Do you have any recommendations for insomnia? Yeah, so just some things to kind of think about first, like before jumping to supplements and stuff like that. You really want to have a good sleep hygiene, good sleep habits. So that means like going to bed at the same time every day and waking up at the same time every day, because having a proper sleep routine is going to help your body get into a good rhythm. Whereas if you're going to bed, let's say one night at 10 and the other night at 1, and then it's kind of all over the place, that's going to disrupt your circadian rhythm. So that's one thing. Second thing is trying to avoid screens before going to bed. That's going to impact your body's melatonin production. So that's another tip. Keeping your bedroom cool at night, using a sleeping mask or blackout curtains. All of these things might seem like just like little things and not important, but that, like having a good foundation of a sleep, good sleep foundation is actually what's really important. And then in the morning, you want to try to get some exposure to sunlight for about 20-30 minutes. That can help out with that circadian rhythm. So I know that can be hard in the winter when it's like dark in the morning, but just trying your best to get some sort of bright light. So if that's all, done and you've got all that worked out, then you can go and look at certain supplements. So I'd say, like, do you have issues falling asleep or do you have issues staying asleep? Generally, if you have issues falling asleep, something like magnesium can be really helpful. Lavender essential oil. You can actually take lavender essential oil in soft gels. Really good for helping just like calming the body and the mind and the restlessness. So lavender and magnesium is a nice combination to help you feel relaxed and help you sleep. If you need more support like staying asleep, then GABA. GABA is one of the calming neurotransmitters. GABA can be helpful for helping you stay asleep, or maybe even looking into a slow release melatonin. Now, melatonin is something you usually don't recommend doing like long term, just kind of short term as needed, and go with like a really low dose. So only start with maybe 1 or 2 milligrams and seeing if that helps out. So those are some things I would say are kind of the main ones for sleep. Okay, so falling asleep. Can wake up from nightmares. Yeah, so I'd look into really calming down the nervous system. Then it sounds like you need some nervous system support. So lavender, magnesium is really good. There's another one called Relora, is another really good herb. These are all really nice calming support for helping just like relax your nervous system, get you ready for sleep. There's a comment, the TV's good for sleep. No, I said no electronics before bed. Yeah, maybe if you're watching something boring, like a documentary, it might cause you to fall asleep. Yeah. Okay, great. Questions. If there's any other questions, let me know. I'm gonna hang around for a few more minutes and I'll be here to answer any health questions. Thank you all, for your questions and for joining our community here and for the likes. I really do appreciate that. It does help get the video noticed across our YouTube channel. Okay. I think that's the main thing I talked about. Just looking at notes here. Anything else I wanted to mention for allergies? Oh, the other thing would be for like allergies would just maybe be getting, or even for the mold, if getting like an air purifier would be really good for your home. Sedative, yeah. So sedative if you really need like medications, but generally you want to try to avoid sedatives. How much alcohol should I drink to help with sleep? So I actually wouldn't recommend having alcohol to help with sleep because you might actually feel like you're getting sleepy when you have alcohol, but it's gonna disrupt a good quality sleep. So if you've had alcohol, it actually disrupts the quality of your sleep. So you're not gonna get into a nice, good, deep sleep, and then you're just gonna feel groggy and tired. So it's not good to use alcohol to sleep. Generally, if you're having issues with sleeping, looking into some of those other recommendations, looking into something like the magnesium, lavender, Relora, chamomile, these are all really good if needed. Maybe melatonin, GABA, really nice calming neurotransmitters. Do you think sedatives have long-term impacts? They could have a long-term impact on just like your mental sharpness, and they can cause some grogginess. Same thing with melatonin, it can also sometimes cause grogginess. So I'd say those things just use short term. Usually like sleeping medications are actually not supposed to be recommended long term, but what sometimes happens is the prescriptions keep getting refilled, but they're really only supposed to be short term, like 2 weeks. A lot of these prescription medications, like Zolpidem and the other ones as well. So same thing with like Xanax and stuff like that. Really just those are supposed to be like short term. So alcohol, magnesium, and lavender. Okay, so just the magnesium and the lavender. Not too much lavender, fair enough. It could cause maybe you to taste the lavender if you're taking the soft gel, so not too much, yeah. So if you're over 2 weeks of sedatives, definitely recommend talking about with your doctor about other options, because there are like maybe you need something more of a long-term stable medication that's used for anxiety, if that's potentially if you're overstimulated. Usually the sedatives are just supposed to be short-term. And yeah, they usually are pretty effective, but just keeping in mind the impact that it can have on your daytime function. But yeah, great questions. All right. I think that was everything that I wanted to mention about allergies. So if you're just hopping on, welcome. I'm Dr. Amanda. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I host this live health Q&A to answer any questions you have. I talked a lot about allergies at the beginning, so you can scroll back if you were curious about that. But just to recap some of my top supplements for allergies: vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams, at least you can go up to 2,000. Zinc, 25 milligrams. Nettle, which can be found in tea, capsules, or tincture. NAC can be really beneficial. NAC you can do like up to maybe like 1,000, 1,500 milligrams if you have a lot of congestion. And then probiotics, quercetin, also really good. All right. So there's a comment, the impact is work on the sedative. Yeah, so the sedative to reduce anxiety, depression. Yeah, and again, like that's really just supposed to be something like short term. Maybe if you have experiencing anxiety and depression and you wanted medication, looking into like an SSRI is generally one of those first lines that's recommended for that. So I'd highly recommend discussing that with your, medical provider and seeing if there's something that's more of a long-term option for you. Yeah. All right. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to sign off for tonight. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, join the health community here, because you will get notified or turn on your notifications. So then the next time I go live, you can ask follow-up questions or any other questions that you might have, and I will be here to answer any of those questions, okay? So I hope that everybody has a great night. Thank you for your questions, and have a great evening.